versus Heard. I'm Kate Snow. We've shown you intense testimony from the 6-week Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial, both sides making claims of abuse. But online, those serious allegations are becoming memes and jokes, the case taking over social media where everyone seems to have an opinion. To help us make sense of what's happening and the impact that all that could have on how people treat survivors of domestic violence, I'm joined by Kat Tenbarge, tech and culture reporter for NBC News, Liz Plank, MSNBC columnist and author of For the Love of Men, A Vision for Mindful Masculinity, and Shari Botwin, psychotherapist and author of Thriving After Trauma, Stories of Living and Healing. So glad to have three powerhouse women with me. Kat, let's start with you as a reporter. How would you characterize what has happened with this particular trial online on social media?
It's been like a faucet. I haven't seen anything like it. Every single social media platform is dominated by conversations about this case. And all of that conversation, for the most part, centers around the idea that Amber has lied and that Johnny Depp is the victim of her domestic abuse.
And younger audience, it feels to me, as an older person, it feels like it's Gen Z. Like there's a lot of 20-somethings really sort of, this is their O.J. Simpson in a way.
There definitely has been, I would say, an outpouring of conversation among the people who are most frequenting these social media platforms. So when you look at a site like TikTok, there's a huge young audience that's contributing content. There are also increasingly more and more people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s getting on these platforms and using them to share their viewpoints.
Yeah. Liz, I went on TikTok this afternoon to look, just to do a search for Amber Heard, and I really couldn't believe how many, I am on TikTok, by the way, but like I couldn't believe how many, there were people doing lip syncs to her, you know, really making fun of a woman who says she's survived, who's alleging abuse. What does this mean for the larger conversation in this country?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of us have watched this trial and thought, oh my gosh, there's so much that's being revealed about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard that we didn't know, that they didn't want us to know. But I think that this trial is revealing so much about us and ourselves and the way that we're responding to it. To your point, you know, we used to burn witches and watch them, you know, sort of suffer on the outside. And now it's through memes, it's through TikToks, right? That same humiliation to see women suffer, you know, from the inside.
Shari, let me ask you about the trauma, because that's your specialty. How does the mockery impact the actual person, right? I mean, she talked about it a little bit today. And again, she's making allegations, Amber Heard, of abuse. Johnny Depp has also accused her of abusing him. So I guess you could ask, if either of them truly is a survivor of abuse, what does it mean to have it played out so publicly?
I think it really it stirs up so much shame. And I think it's such a distraction from what's really going on. These are two people, from what I see, that are in so much pain. They have awful childhood histories. And I think what people do on social media is they look at these testimonies, and some of the people that are posting and making fun are survivors themselves. I think what's happening is people don't want to deal with their own feelings. They don't want to accept that this is something that can happen. And I think we're so quick to judge. We don't really even know, nobody really knows what's happening behind closed doors. So my concern with social media and all the mockery is all the people out here that are struggling, that are currently living in domestic violent relationships. They're not going to want to say anything. They're going to be more afraid now than ever. And that really, really concerns me.
Yeah, that's always the fear, right? That it silences others who really need help. Kat, there is a money aspect to this too.
Yes.
Social media now, influencers, you study this for a living. I don't have to tell you, they make money sometimes for posting content. How is that playing into this particular moment?
Yes, it's really hard to just put into words how powerful the algorithmic juice has been around this case. For example, you have creators on platforms like YouTube who previously were getting hundreds of views on videos about anything, ranging from video games to music to art. All of a sudden, they're pumping out videos about this trial, videos that make Johnny Depp look good and make Amber Heard look bad, because those are the only ones that people want to see. And they're being able to make money for the first time ever. They're getting viral videos off of this case, getting millions of views when before they had no audience.
Are those the dominant ones? Are they, I mean, you know, you keep saying it's glorifying Johnny Depp, but that is the dominant stream, right?
Oh, yes.
It's not the other way.
Up until recently, you really couldn't find any TikToks in support of Amber Heard.
Wow.
The entire platform was pro Johnny Depp. And I've heard from those creators themselves that if someone comments and says that they have a neutral position or they think that maybe Amber is a victim, they immediately get dogpiled, harassed, abused themselves in these comment sections, and no one wants to speak up in support of Amber Heard.
Yeah, and we don't know who's telling the truth. We don't know who's lying. That'll be for the jury to decide. But what is true and what Kai is pointing to is this glamorization of Johnny Depp.
What does it mean for that? Are we at the end of MeToo? Is this a reversal? Where are we?
I mean, it's a backlash to MeToo. What we're seeing happen and the stereotypes that are coming out, right, that are calling Amber Heard a liar, glorifying Johnny Depp as this amazing man, right, is the reason why MeToo started. It's why activists really wanted to fight for this movement and why it's so important, because women didn't feel, and you know, survivors of all genders didn't feel like they could report, didn't feel like it was going to be welcome. And what we're seeing unfold on the internet is that we're proving them right. We're saying that, yes, you will be silenced, you will be humiliated.
Sherry, do you want to answer that one too about MeToo?
Yeah. So I feel like we're definitely going backwards, but here's what I want to say. When people hear about domestic violence, they say they support the victims. The problem here is that when it's somebody that we know, somebody that we maybe like, people don't want to believe that somebody that maybe they looked up to or enjoyed watching in the movies or had like an idea of who this person was, they don't want to have to think this person is really capable of doing what's alleged in court. And I feel like part of the problem here also is the myth around domestic violence. There's so much victim blaming and shaming. And I think people are so quick to say, he's the bad one, she's the one that got hurt, or vice versa. In toxic relationships like the one that I think we're seeing play out in court, it's often both of them that are provoking each other. And I feel like part of what we're trying to do with #MeToo is say, if you're a victim of sexual assault or you live in a domestic violence relationship, you should not be made to feel like you are the cause of that. It's not so black and white. And I think all these videos and the myths that we've been trying to
Botwin, thank you all so much. A really interesting conversation. Appreciate it.
We weren't taught